All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's Monday morning.
Hello.
We're here on Keys
Hey,
to Home with Lance,
Woohoo.
Jennifer, Mark. How's
all
everybody
coming
doing?
to you live
Yep.
from
Indiana
our
Jones.
studio broadcasting booth.
Booths.
I could go to the crazy matted hair look.
Right?
Yeah, I got
Surviving
I
the
got that
Tennessee
going on
winter.
myself. The 30-mile-an-hour
Look at this
winds.
look.
Yeah,
I feel like I should get a pair of glasses like y'all have because I don't have glasses like that.
it just makes you look studious.
I
You
agree.
know,
What's that old boys don't make passes at girls who wear glasses?
I'm
Could care less.
I'm single. I'm not
You're
shy.
right.
Yeah,
Living
I'm
in a
on the
glass house,
market.
don't throw a
I mean,
stone.
I'm single. I'm on the market. What do I need to do? Drape a sandwich board over me that says, "Hi, I'm available." I
Right.
don't use apps.
Dating in the real world is dating in this period is really hard. Speaking of difficulties in this last week, what's everybody seen this last week?
Interest rates went up.
They skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Nobody can ever buy a house again.
Yeah. I'll do the fear. You can never buy a home again. Our podcast is just filler. No, interest rates. The Fed did not lower rates last Thursday. And interest rates continue to go up. The truth be told, the last couple of times they've lowered the Fed rate, mortgage rates have continued to climb really since September. I think the headline this morning when I went on said rates remain high over the last 2 weeks, something like that. I don't.
Lovely.
My customers are getting a lot of crazy mailers, Jennifer. Getting mailers like 3%, 30-year fixed, 4.5% APR. Yeah, that's a lot of points. Yeah, I don't even know if you can buy it down, but there is no such thing as a 3% fixed 30-year mortgage.
No.
It's smoke and mirrors. It's a reason to get people to call.
Well, that's like saying I can sell your house without you making repairs. I can, but the price might be what you think it's going to be. Mark, what's going on in your world?
What's happening in my world is everyone's starting to get their taxes done. They're starting to either cringe at the results, or some people are very happy and excited about the changes that they've seen. I have one specific client that's using a tax return to help her jumpstart her journey, her debt journey, and it's going to make a huge impact for her.
That's fantastic. Would you say that what percent of people are seeing a better tax return than they expected? Has anybody shared that?
Nobody has really shared that. There'll be. I'll report that back over the coming weeks if I start hearing that. But right now, I don't have any indication that anything has been significantly different. I know that's a whole topic in and of itself. We could probably talk about how, at least from a coaching perspective, some things to think about when it comes to preparing for your taxes. But I'm not a tax advisor, and I wouldn't claim. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn. How about that one?
My tax friends are saying that people are predominantly seeing a pretty big improvement from the bill. So I have an interesting story to share with you. Not a benchmark agent. Not a benchmark agent. Do you remember how I said that benchmark agents can't give out one-day codes?
Mm-hmm.
Because it opens up liability, and that I get flack sometimes for that.
Yeah.
The list agent thought that they were talking to a showing agent in Franklin, Tennessee, not a benchmark agent. And they gave out a one-day code to 3 burglars who burglarized the house at Christmas time.
Wow.
So guess what you're not getting from me? A one-day code.
Christmas code?
Yeah. But I'll meet you at the house if you don't have a Sentry Lock. My listing says if you don't have a Sentry Lock, I'll happily meet you at the house so that, as long as you schedule at a time I can do, or I'll help you connect with Sentry Connect, which coordinates with our app, and they verify that you're an agent. I don't understand why listing agents use combos. Half the time you walk up, it's not even scrabbled. You can give that to anybody. You don't know who's in and out of the house. Anyway, benchmark, watching my back, my clients' backs, and just a great place to work. So, Mark, a lot of people this time of year are, you mentioned getting debt free. And, the last few episodes we've said, what's the steps to buying a house? How do you fill out the first mortgage application? What do you do when, like, I want to get out of debt? Can you share with us today what the steps are to starting that debt-free life?
Yeah, 100%. And I'll start with this slide deck, but just as a prelude to starting the slide deck, what's really important is you've got to have the desire to really be in a different place than where you're at. If you're, I'm really talking to you, to everyone listening here in a more formal and more direct manner. If you're tired of being where you're at, if you're sick of not being able to do the things that you want to do, now is a time that you have to make a decision. If you're going to get to where you want to go, if you want to be debt free, you have to make the choice to say no when the time comes to say no.
Don't you think you're forming and changing habits? I mean,
overall,
if you're doing it, you have to have that internal strength to do it. And that's really part of your job, is helping people get those muscles developed and supporting them as they develop them.
Yeah, I cannot market to people who have not gotten to that point where they're truly ready to change habits, because not being committed to getting to that point is going to likely the discipline will run out, and your results will run its course. So we can talk all day long with that. Let's jump into the slide deck here. So you may have seen
you full screen so that people can see real well.
There we go. So you may have seen this slide deck from last year. I just kind of refreshed it. But hi, my name's Mark. Obviously, I'm with Aspire Coaching, and I specifically coach in the financial and the career coaching space. For today, we're going to talk a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit about budgeting and a little bit about career coaching. But I really want you to embrace that phrase that I have on this slide. Imagine what your life would feel like and what it would be like without any payments. Are you guys, Lance? Are you ready for this? If you guys want to,
yeah.
Jennifer.
I can't wait.
I have some staggering numbers for everyone here.
Yeah, that's some pretty ugly numbers.
Total U.S. household debt hits record high in Q3 2025. The total amount of U.S. household debt is 18.59 trillion in the third quarter. By the way, we haven't gotten fourth quarter numbers yet. Those are going to be released 4 days from now. On February 10th, 2026 for the fourth quarter. It's already estimated to go up. We are setting as consumers record high debt, and we're continuing to grow the debt quarter after quarter, and there is no end in sight. There's of the total debt, mortgage debt is the highest, 13 trillion. Obviously, we can't all buy houses for cash, and nor can we save the money to buy a house for cash in the time that we need that house. Yeah. Credit card debt is 1.23 trillion. Auto loan debt, 1.7 trillion. Student loan debt is 1.65. What's staggering is the last bulleted item. Approximately 4.5% of outstanding debt was in some stage of delinquency. That is a staggering $836.55 billion of the 18.59 trillion.
Wow.
Pretty staggering.
Yeah.
The next slide shows a graph of that acceleration of debt that U.S. households are carrying. If you take a look at this chart, we're only going back to Q1 2024. Look at the amount of ascending debt that is just climbing year or quarter after quarter. Again, this is up to Q3 2025. I used the source that I pulled this information from was the New York Fed Household Debt and Credit. As I said, in Q4 2025 will be released on February 10th, 2026. What the chart clearly shows, steady climb through 2024 and an acceleration of debt into 2025. Household debt rising from 17.69 trillion to 18.59 trillion in 18 months, roughly a $900 billion increase over that span. So when we're thinking about how are we going to buy a house, how are we going to upgrade or build that generational addition onto the house, or how are we going to get that HELOC, to renovate homes? We can't do it if we already have a staggering amount of debt that we're carrying. And based on this information, it appears that we as all American consumers are carrying a load of debt.
Yeah. Wow.
So the next slide I wanted to get into is, what are the reasons to get out of debt? Okay, I can talk to people here until I'm blue in the face about getting out of debt. But inherently and intrinsically, the desire intrinsically to no longer be in the place and no longer carry on the debt, the ability to live a life that is in your control financially, that is stress-free, and something that you can build momentum on, has to reside in you. The only reason why I paid off $323,000, 501 cents and $501.21 is because I no longer had the desire to be there. There was nothing more important than on earth than it was for me to pay off the debt. When it came to going on trips, no, I can't go. But if you guys go, would you give me a call so I can participate in where you're going to go? Does that mean I had to sacrifice? Yes, 100%. Something comes at cost. There's something that we have to give up in order to grow up. And so a lot of the things the reasons to get out of debt come back to who you where you are financially in your life. And if you're waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, wondering where you're going to go. And here's another prime example on the career coaching side. If you're taking calls and you're going into a dark, unscheduled meeting room to talk to a creditor at your place of work, that's a clear indication that we have something to get rid of. We have something to do. Okay. So the reasons to get out of debt: you take back control of your life, you lower your stress and increase your peace of mind, and you create momentum to build real wealth. You got to get this debt out of the way in order to have the momentum to really build wealth. So why do we budget? It's one of the most, and you may have seen this slide before, but it's relevant here. It is one of the most powerful financial habits you can build. One of the best skills into overcoming. If we're wanting to buy a $400,000 house, if we're wanting to put down a down payment, if we're wanting to upsize because we're growing our family, if we're wanting to downsize because we're close to retirement, whatever the reasoning is, having control of your finances and budgeting is one of the most powerful habits you can build. You take back control over your money. You eliminate the stress and anxiety. You crush the debt. You crush the thing that is in front of you. When you get up in the morning every single day, what it took for me is to lean into that debt and tell it doesn't get a seat at my table. It doesn't have a place in my life anymore. It is by far my best and strongest effort to change my life. And boy, has it ever changed my life. You can improve your relationships for spouses who are not on the same page. Instead of the you and the I and the finger pointing, building a team and around your common goals to get to where you want is one of the best ways to improve your relationships. Secondly, it prepares you for the unexpected. How are we going to handle that unexpected medical bill, that unexpected storm that shows up that has massive hail that destroys cars, and we don't have, or house or roofs, and unexpected things in your life? Ultimately, what it creates is freedom. It's not restriction. So one of the things that I would like to pass along, a nugget, a coaching insight nugget here, is if you think of budgeting as a constraint, I want to change your mindset. I want to change that and tweak it into thinking that it's no longer a constraint. I want you to start thinking about managing your money as from building a spending plan. Instead of using the word budget, if it constrains you, it feels like you can't do something, change it up. And you'll learn more about that in my coaching sessions when we get together. In short, a budget is a plan for a peace of mind. It helps you spend intentionally, save consistently, and move closer to financial freedom. 5 major reasons why budgets fail. 5 major reasons why we end up off track. And the old adage of, I've tried it, it doesn't work. One of the items that I want to focus on, I'm going to let you read these first 5, the first 4, the unrealistic expectations. Sometimes I'll just dive into that real quick because that's a good prelude into the lack of motivation, or the last one. But the unrealistic expectations, a lot of times what I'm seeing when clients first come to me and they talk to me about doing a budget and having wanting to take control of their finances, what happens is that they've sat down, they've built a budget, and in their mind, it's perfect. This is perfect. This absolutely is the best thing. We've put all kinds of effort into it, and it's going to work. And then something happens in life, and we end up spending over in a budget and in a category. And what happens to that perspective is, see, I knew it wasn't going to work. It was too good to be true. And all of a sudden, what we do is, there's no reason to follow the budget anymore. We've already blown out this category, so we might as well just move on. And that's when we get a lot of problems, with unplanned spending. No flexibility. What I mean, and so the other important part leading up to lack of motivation, or your why, is no flexibility, because you feel like you have 100% perfect budget. This is going to work, and you blow out unfortunately a line item. You're not being flexible. I've been budgeting for 10 years, and I'm going to tell everyone listening right now, 1 month is never the same. You have to be flexible. You have to be able to move when life happens, and change directions when those obstacles that were unexpected show up. Okay, so the one item on this list that I really want to focus on is lack of motivation, or why. Having a why behind your finances is great, but that's still not enough. You need to go deeper into that why. What? For example, if I have a client that comes to me and says, Mark, I want to get out of debt. That's why I'm going to do that. My question might be back to them, well, why is it that you want to get out of debt? What is it about the debt that is leading you to do this journey? Tell me a little bit more about the the problems of debt and the cycle of debt and paying off your debt that you've had in your life. Those are all typical and very much questions that I'll ask in our coaching session when you sign up for a coaching session through Aspire Coaching. If you can't connect your budget to a deeper purpose of why you want to get out of debt, build wealth so that you can give generously, it ultimately feels like punishment, that you're punishing yourself in the sense of telling yourself, I can't go do something because my budget says I can't.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have a strong why. It's not just so much, I want to get out of debt. For example, I want to get out of debt so that I can give to the charities that I've researched and given, and I know will have an impact on my donation, so that I can travel around the world to places like Italy and enjoy the ancient history that I'm passionate about. And through that deeper why, I want you, in fact, actually, if anyone's listening to this right now, on your why, write it out. Write a mission statement about your why and about your finances. Write a purpose statement behind your finances. The minute you put that down in paper, you build a direct and deeper purpose to your budgeting effort. And that gives you the ultimate, I'm going to pass along question to you that I want you to start asking yourself about your finances and about spending. I want you to start asking the following question. Is what I'm about ready to purchase get me closer to where I want to go or further away? And sit in that question for a little while. Now, I know we spent a lot of time on this. I'm sure Lance, Jennifer, you guys are going to have some questions, and we'll get to those soon.
Mm-hmm.
Some on the next slide, 5 key behavioral changes that make budgeting and debt freedom possible. Shift from impulsive to intentional spending. Instead of asking, can I afford this? The new question should be, does this fit in my spending plan? Build the habit of tracking every dollar. There's multiple apps that are available on the internet. Every Dollar, YNAB are 2 of them. I purposely use Every Dollar. I like Every Dollar and the paycheck planning feature that it offers. You are the best app. None of these apps work and none of the tracking happens unless you yourself take the effort to sit down and do that. If you have a deeper purpose to your why, you're going to sit down and you're going to track it. Okay. So this discipline feels tedious at first, but over time it's going to get confident. It's going to build your confidence. Learn to delay gratification, choosing to wait. Saving for the purchase instead of financing it is one of the most powerful behavioral shifts. We got to stop and delay the gratification for now while you're getting out of debt. Communicate openly, especially for couples. For example, just because one person spends something over the budget doesn't necessarily mean the other person needs to go out and spend something. Come together as a team and instead of using the words and the terms like you or I or finger pointing, start using the word the team. How as a team can we do better to overcome these challenges? It also can go into how a person was brought up around money. What was life like for your partner when it came to growing up around money? You may have never even had that conversation, but in a coaching session where there's a safe place to express yourself about your finances and get down to the root issues of some of these spending habits and listening to that voice that gives you the permission to spend is what we'll dive into. finally, what's most important in your journey is also to celebrate your progress. Remember, it's not perfection. And I have a saying that I want to pass along to everyone. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Coaching insights. These behaviors are really about self-control, accountability, and vision. The budget is just the tool. It's the habits that make it successful. So I want to switch gears now to career, okay? Because I'm also a career coach, and a lot of the times I think I've got these questions a little wonky. I'll have to update this slide, but one of the very first things that I want to draw attention to is I believe that your career and where you make the most of your money is ultimately more important than actually your getting out of debt. I mean, here's the reason why. Your career is the one tool that produces the income that you need in order to pay off the debt.
Mm-hmm.
If your career is not in focus, it is not clear, it is not giving you a deeper sense of satisfaction, then more than likely this over here is affected. Your finances are affected. So one of the first things that I find when someone comes to me in their career and having challenges with their career is that we focus on stage one, and that is getting clarity and focus. This is some of the things that we're going to talk about is your talents, your passion, and your mission. Yes, I based this off of Ken Coleman's Get Clear assessment and his 7 steps in the Paycheck to Purpose. Some of those things that we're going to talk about, those questions under talents, what tasks or skills come naturally? If you're having a problem right now in your career, it may have been that you, quote, I needed a check, so I took a job. This is what was available. If you look back over your career and you're unhappy from job to job to job, you need to really get that clarity for you. And that is stage one. So start asking yourself these following questions. Grab a piece of notebook paper and divide it up into 3 columns: talents, passion, and mission. And lay out what tasks or skills come naturally to you, even when others struggle. And then write those down. What do people consistently compliment you on or thank you for? Which strengths energize you instead of draining you? If you're going in and you're saying to yourself, oh my gosh, I can't wait until this is over. Think about the impact that has on you financially. Passion. What work makes time fly for you? I love coaching. I am so involved and engaged in coaching. I cannot believe that I've been coaching for over 3 years. Never even realized. It feels like just yesterday I went through Dave Ramsey's master financial coaching training and got certified with John Maxwell's coaching team. And that was 3 years ago, and John Maxwell's certification was last year. I can't believe that it's been 3 years. I love coaching. I cannot see myself not coaching because I love helping others. The other thing is what impact on your mission? What impact do you want your work to have on people? When I love customer focus. When I went into work, I love the idea of knowing that my customer needs some help. They have a pain point, then I have the skills to overcome that. And I love that work. I get into that. I fly into Monday mornings. There's a book out there called Rhinoceros, Be a Rhinoceros. Highly suggest everyone reads that. And then finally, which results give you the deepest sense of fulfillment? So let me draw the connection, you guys. So the connection here is if you go into work and you're passionate about what you do, you don't know where time flies by for you, and you ultimately, while you're at work, have the deepest sense of fulfillment. How does that transpire? How do you think that's going to transpire into your finances? you're probably going to have that same level of impact in your finances. You're probably going to say, I've worked hard, I've been rewarded for my work, and now I'm going to use that to get to where I want to go financially. So that's what I'd really like to start with on the career focus is stage one, get clarity and focus. I'm going to open this up for questions and answers because I know Jennifer and Lance, you guys have just been patiently waiting for this time. So let them fly. And anyone that's listening to this, please post more questions and so that we can answer them later.
Well, I have a question. I mean, clearly in your presentation, the what and the why, they don't have that. Why even start? So how hard is it to make that to explain it and say, and you say, hey, we're not moving on until you get that. Is that what you do? Or are you just like, oh, maybe we'll come back to that, but you just drill down from that. We got to figure out the why right now.
Yeah, we have to figure out the why. In the very first session, it's discovering what your why is. It truly is. Are you really at a point? Well, let me back up a second. By the time someone, in my opinion, by the time someone has reached out and scheduled a discovery call with me, they have had what I call the transformative second. That transformative second is a split moment in time where they say, I can't do this on my own. I don't know how to do it. I know I can't be here and I need help.
Do you think that most people have a why, even if they can't articulate it? And part of what you're doing is digging down and figuring out what it is, sharpening it and bringing it to the fore?
I think there's multiple levels of whys. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is I think there are some folks that they have a why, I want to get out of debt. But you can see the difference in that, right? To the more deeper why of I want to get out of debt because I want to help my child pay for college. I want to be able to pay for my daughter's wedding. I want to leave a legacy for my children, and I want to donate and explore my generosity.
I think another one right now is I'm tired of waking up in the middle of the night stressing it's affecting my health. I know that's got to be for a lot of people.
It's a tremendous amount. We're carrying $18.59 trillion worth of debt.
Well, and that was the other question I wanted to ask is, I know that the economy has been just in a little bit of a situation for a couple years now. And maybe the end is in sight and maybe we're starting to come up and everybody's rebounding. But I think that the shift, and myself included, you spent something on cards because you should be able to pay it off, right? Don't put anything on a card if you can't pay it off, and preferably don't put it on a card to begin with. But then the income shifted. So now you've got this card. You've got some debt on it. Maybe you've not been in that situation before because you've been able to pay things off. And I think this is where a lot of people are and where the debt is growing from. But on top of that, our rates have been so high. So you have more people who utilized more debt than they would have in the past. And we're at 18 to 30% interest.
Yeah.
That will make that line go up like this instead of like that.
Well, just think about that for a second, Jennifer. If we know we're going to get charged 18 to 30% of interest, why use the card?
Yeah.
Why use it?
Well, I think a lot of people, like I said, have a balance now because they didn't think it was going to stay on the card.
Right. Now let's discern and let's make the right assessment here. There are people that use credit cards, pay them off every month, and don't experience any interest. But you have to. But I'm gonna say, even all of those folks that are listening that do that, you assume that risk for the time that you carry that balance for those 30 days. So we don't know what can happen in a 30-day period of time, whether or not you may or you may not be able to pay that card off. The minute that you can't pay that card off, you've just taken on 18 to 30%. So anyone that's out there looking at their debt saying, I'm sick of these cards, well, then if you're sick of the cards, are you tired of paying the interest on the cards?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are, that alone is 18 to 30%. Why would I, is what you're about ready to purchase, if you're not paying off your cards every month, here's the question I have for you. Is what you're about ready to put on that card worth 18 to 30% interest?
Right. Would you buy it? So like in layman's terms, if you were going to buy an item and it was $100, would you buy it if it was $130?
Right. Yeah, that's
okay. Or hey, it's $100 and it's on sale for $95 or $90. Would you buy it if it was $120?
Yeah, that's the question that people have to ask themselves if they're looking at their debt. And most of all, I would say that once we figured out, so we're going to dive into all of this in a coaching session. We're going to dive into where we want to go, what's in the way, the obstacles. We're going to lay that all out. Where my clients get the results that they get is through the accountability, because in every coaching session, by the time that coaching session ends, one of my most important questions is the things that we've talked about tonight. What are the actions what actions are you going to take?
Right. And I think
the call to action, and that comes in the form of overall the word accountability.
Yeah. And I know too that you're like, oh, hey, this was our call to action last week and you did it and good job. And we're having the same one this week. But that praise is also important for a lot of people, like, because sometimes it feels like you're not making progress. One of the things you said was don't call it necessarily a budget, but a spending plan, because it's a positive reference. And I think that that's the whole point with the why, because you're not telling yourself no, you're telling yourself, I'm doing this. I'm not saying no to being able to go out and get, I don't know. I know people who like want to go out and get a Starbucks every day. I'm not saying no to getting a Starbucks. What I'm saying is yes to being able to live in a house I want, which I want to say something really quick too, because we talk about renting and there are times to rent and everything else. But in theory, as far as where the money goes, if you're just talking about principal and interest, the principal payment of a mortgage payment is what you are putting towards your gain of equity, correct?
Yeah.
The interest is, I mean, you're paying it as your borrowed money, but it's also, in one way to look at it, is the part of the portion that does not earn you any equity, right?
Correct.
So when we say, oh my God, interest rates are, what'd you say they were, Lance? They're through the roof. They're insane. They're crazy. What are they at roughly?
6.25.
Yeah, 6.25. Do you know what interest rates on rent is?
100%.
It's 100%. And people are like, well, what are you talking about? What I'm saying is
100%.
It's 100% of what you're paying does not build you equity.
Right.
And so just like if you are, is it worth spending this if it was 120 or 130? Wouldn't it be good to get into a position where what you're paying monthly is going to be going towards you? And, you know, I'm seeing other situations where, oh, that house was sold. The landlord sold that house and the new person's going to own or occupy it. And now you've got to find a place to go. So there's just stability in not having debt. The next stability chunk is in owning your own home or working towards owning your own home. And so I think those are really important. I know we've got to be conscientious of time. I have another question for you.
Sure.
Because I think it comes up a lot. I know in most couple relationships, there's like the spender and the saver. Mm-hmm. What do you do if, you know, we're supposed to be on the same page and somebody's sabotaging?
Well, if someone is okay.
And by that, I mean like going off and doing what they want to do or making it impossible for the budget to be working or what, you know what I mean?
If someone is maliciously doing that, then basically it's financial infidelity. Mm-hmm. You're really doing things that are, rivaling infidelity. You're going behind your partner's back. You're You're executing your own decisions, who could ultimately affect another person, and so that will trigger, in my mind, it would trigger things like financial infidelity. And look, I think financial abuse is one of the most. I'm not a psychologist or how and I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn. I know I've said that once before already, but you're lying.
Yeah. And financial abuse can be just what we're talking about, the infidelity, but it can also be the other where I'm making this budget and it's so restrictive that you can't breathe. And like I think you guys know that I went through that when I was stay-at-home mom, and I quote unquote didn't make any money, had no right to really say what was going on with the money. So there's a lot of things that go on when you're budgeting, and it's kind of like when you're house shopping, you're like, oh God, okay, apparently I'm putting on my therapist hat.
Well, there are some things. There's a couple things there too. Going back, and the word sabotaging is obviously a malicious action. But there are times when we have to work through people that have spending uncontrolled spending habits, and working through those by helping them identifying their decisions behind the decisions that they're making. What is the behavior behind those decisions?
It's funny that you say that too, because like I had a great metabolism when I was younger. I could pretty much eat and do whatever I wanted. But then life hits different stages and it changes. And I think that sometimes when we're younger and we don't have as many responsibilities financially, our financial metabolism is at a place that, I got this. I'm not pinched. I don't need to be writing a budget. I can go out with my friends 2 and 3 times a week to whatever it is that I'm going out to. I can take a vacation. I don't really have to plan it. And so those muscle memories aren't there, but then all of a sudden something starts building that you're going to have to. The economy shifts, your job shifts, you want a change in your house, you get a promotion and you're in a more expensive area to live. So I think that there's some of that too, where, like I said, you've never had that muscle memory.
Right. Well, and expecting to have this perfect in a short period of time that's setting expectations that you're likely not going to meet. I've been budgeting for 10 years using a zero-based budget. And I'm going to tell you that one of the most important things is that 1 month is never the same as the next. Yeah. Number 2, about what you asked, is being flexible. Very importantly, in when you're starting to budget, it's very, very important to be as detailed as possible. I know that's not fun. It's not fun to have to go back. It can be emotional because you can see exactly, it reveals exactly the behavior that you might be trying to comfort, or even whatever your habit might be that is trying to comfort whatever pain you might be going through. That can be emotional. And being in a coaching session where, number 1, talking about finances with someone is not easy. It's personal, and it takes a lot for a person to sit down and reveal things that have been going on in their life. But doing that in a space that is safe and encouraging. I'm a man of faith, and so taking that very carefully and empathetically, guiding people to where they say they want to go, and it's not easy. We restart several times. But the second thing about your finances, I want to just throw budgeting out for a second. You need to be flexible. If you go into, I love hockey, but I guarantee if I set the expectation, I go out on a hockey rink to try to, I'm not going to be an NHL player tomorrow.
What?
So that's, setting your expectations, remember the phrase. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be a little bit better.
Right. I think that's huge.
Massive. And and so if we get you to a point where things are a little bit better, now the upsizing of the house, the buying the house, and Lance and Jennifer is all knocking on your door, ready to help.
Mm-hmm.
So
No, I agree.
I like working off of, last thing I'm going to say about budgeting, to answer your question, Jennifer, is it's about a 90-day process. It takes about 3 months to really dial in your budget. We at Aspire Coaching pride ourselves on 3, 6, and 12-month packages, programs that are focused on getting the debt. My company, Aspire Coaching, is 100% focused on debt, because my belief is that when we get the debt out of the way, then the open field of flowers and grass and blue sky opens up. We got to get the
rainbows
cloud.
and unicorns.
What's that?
Rainbows and unicorns.
Yes, it opens. I think I've shared this once. I've shared this before, but I'm going to share it again. Do you know, for this financial and career coach, do you know what the most important word in the dictionary is that I believe? It's the word options.
Yeah.
It is the most important word in my mind. When you have no debt, you have options.
Right. You have options as you get into debt too. They're longer term constrictions. That's why you want to get out of it. So you have your options back.
Yep.
Is it worth $100? Is it worth $130?
Exactly.
All right. Well, I know you got to go get a doggy, and I think we're at a good time to stop. I think that next week will be one of our first guests. I'll save who I have up my sleeve. I'm confirming if they can do. And then we'll go from there.
Sounds great. It was a pleasure being with you guys today. God bless you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And yeah, hope you have a great day.
All right. See ya.